When Jesus talked about the devil, that's not what he was talking about. Hey everybody, it's Chris Pavla. Welcome to What Jesus Says About Where Jesus Speaks for Himself, so you can respond for yourself. Every September, October, Halloween stores like this pop up, and then come Halloween, you're going to see people running around in all sorts of costumes, including costumes that look something like this guy here. This picture of the devil that we have is interesting. It's kind of comic book satirized kind of caricature of the devil in a red suit and all this stuff.
Thunders! You're the devil?
It's always the one you least suspect.
So what I'd like to do today is kind of break from the normal a little bit and take a look at what does Jesus say about the devil and what kind of titles does he describe him. And actually when you look at it, Jesus says 6 things about the devil and we're going to look at them. So here are 6 names Jesus uses for the devil. Why's it got to be 6? Number 6, and it's the word that, most people would use, is the word devil. And actually what's so interesting, though, is that the word devil is actually the Greek word that means something like slanderer or accuser, but Jesus used... Yeah, that's terrifying. But Jesus only used the word devil 4 times. The word more often that Jesus would associate with the devil himself was our 5th term. Number 5, Satan. Here we go. This is like a double kit right here. So like when Jesus would use this term, it would often be with like a certain amount of anger in his voice. He would say things like, "Get behind me, Satan," or "Away from me, Satan. You do not have in mind the things of God." So anyway, that's number 5, Satan. Hey look, it's a message. Smoking kills. The next term that Jesus uses to describe the devil is this. It's kind of an interesting term. He uses it 3 times. It's the prince of this world. So he's sitting with his disciples one time and he's talking with them and he says, "The prince of this world has no power over me." He's not only describing Satan, he's also describing himself. Jesus says he's the prince of this world, but Jesus has a kingdom that's not of this world, and Satan's power is limited, but Jesus claims his power is eternal. Vote now. Is The Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween or Christmas movie? It's totally Christmas. The next term that Jesus uses to describe the devil is this phrase called the evil one. And he uses this term like 2 or 3 times. Let's just say 3-ish. Here we go. Here's a little costume, and you too can be the devil. Anyway, one time Jesus is sitting with his students and he prays and he says, "Father, my prayer is not that you take them out of this world, but that you would protect them from the evil one." And this is an interesting phrase because evil here is not so much as something that's like scary, but it's that evil is not safe. Evil is this idea of rebellion and chaos and anarchy. It's death instead of life. It's hate instead of kindness. And according to Jesus, leading the charge for all of this evil is the evil one. We've got ninja stars, we've got bows, we've got swords. Where's a pitchfork? I can't find a pitchfork. We have automatic weapons. The next phrase that Jesus uses to describe the devil is kind of an interesting one. It's actually where Jesus gives us our most detailed description of the devil, according to him. And it's actually when he's talking to a group of, ironically, religious leaders. And he tells them, "You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding on to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native tongue, because he is a liar and the father of lies." It's pretty harsh, right? Not quite the genteel picture of Jesus that we always get, where he's just kind of blue-eyed, staring off in the distance, passively going through life.
"And behold, a beam is in thine own eye. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye."
But in this description, Jesus is hearkening back to this idea of the Garden of Eden, and we'll get to that later on, but also what he would describe as his own temptation in the desert by the devil. But every time the devil spoke, he was always just perverting and twisting the truth just a little bit. And lies are never obvious, they're never overt, they're enticing, they're subtle, they're deceiving. It wouldn't be deception if it wasn't deceiving. I mean, who buys that for their yard? If you bought that for your yard, leave a comment below. And finally, the term that Jesus uses to describe the devil is the term the enemy. And so there's this one time that Jesus sends out his disciples on a mission, and they go out and they come back and they're all excited because demons submit to them. And we'll get to the idea of demons in some other video. But in response to all their celebration, Jesus tells them, "I have given you authority to overcome all the power of the enemy." And here Jesus is very clear that there are 2 sides. If Jesus is your king, you're on his side in his kingdom. There is a rebellion led led by the enemy. And either you're with them or you're against him. So there you go. There's the 6 terms and titles Jesus used to describe the devil. No red suits, no pitchforks, and yet for Jesus, the devil is real. He's not a cartoon character, but he's also limited in his power. He's an individual. He's bent on destruction. He's a liar, and his lies are very deceiving and very enticing. Be careful. But according to Jesus, greater is the one who is with you than the one who is against you. So I gotta ask, does what Jesus say about the devil make you more or less afraid of him, or make you think he's more or less real? Leave your comments below. Look forward to seeing what you gotta say. I'm gonna go shopping for some costumes now, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. That's funny.